everybody. Welcome back to Mortgage Ballers. My name is Rich Hanlin, and today I have the incredible Sheila Garcia. Sheila, don't you have a secondary name too? What's your whole name?
That is it.
That's it? For some reason, I thought you had a hyphenated name or
changing
something.
next month because I'm getting married next month.
Well, congratulations. See, I knew that intuition. I knew something was going on. Where are you at right now? Where am I talking to you from?
I am actually in Gallatin, Tennessee, about 30 minutes north of Nashville.
Okay. Everybody knows where Nashville is, so that's right on. And how long you been in Tennessee?
I've been here going on 4 years.
Okay.
4 years
And
in July.
transplant from the great state of
California.
Right on. Me too, by the way. We were just talking about that. So, well, first of all, congratulations coming on, giving us a little bit of your time so we can get to know you a little bit. We do appreciate that. How did you hear about Xpert Home Lending?
I actually heard about it through another loan officer. I was working for a bank at the time that decided to lay off most of their mortgage LOs. Wow. And I reached out to her because I tend to follow her a lot and asked her what she was up to. And she introduced me to Nate, and the rest is history.
Right on. How long you been doing lending?
I have been in the mortgage business since 2003. Okay. I actually started as a wholesale rep as an AE.
For what? For who? Who are you with?
New Century, subprime.
I know exactly who that is. Yeah, I know who that is. So you went through that 2008 time just like I did. In the same area because we were both in Northern California, it sounds like. Yeah, that was a fun time. I lost everything in that crash. I was 100% invested in real estate. I had a real estate company to a loan company. And very quickly, I couldn't do anything. I focused on refinances. I couldn't learn purchases fast enough. And I didn't have any partners that I had built up. And I got crushed. I had been in the industry from 1991 to 2008. And then pretty much December 2008, I remember I went home, told my wife, I'm like, I'm shutting the doors. Like, it's over. Yeah. It went down fast. I couldn't believe
how fast. I
was
the same, Rich. I had all my retirement invested in New Century, my stock options. So same, I lost everything.
Man, that was not a fun time. We talk about that all the time because I tried to get out of the industry and do some other things, but
I did too.
Here I am. Crazy.
I'm back at it. I've been back at it since 2013.
Well, I'm glad you're back at it. I think we're going into there's always ups and downs, but you went through the 2020 and 21. Were you at the bank at that point in time?
I was, yes.
Okay. Because that was kind of a crazy time. So then it started to slow down. That's when you're right. A lot of the direct lenders, everything just got so tight. And a lot of them still are tight. They're just not ready to give it. Over 400,000 licensees in December of 2021. Now we have under 100,000 licensees nationwide as of this year. So a lot of people have been pushed out or just said, man, I'm going to take a hiatus for a while. But yet here you are. So congratulations on that.
I just was reading that. I was just reading about that also. I am just stunned. If you think about it, 300,000 loan officers have left the industry.
That's amazing to me. It's sad to me because as a broker, I'm like, because some of them have been mine. So a lot of people say, gosh, you guys haven't really lost anybody. I'm like, no, what you're not seeing is the attrition side of it. We've had 150 people have come and gone, but yet we've always had enough to keep growing. But that many people have gone on to other things, have got out of the industry. And some of those are single moms and stuff like that. And that's the part that drives me crazy about these pullbacks. Not that they're weak, but they've got to provide.
Correct.
And the ups and downs or lack of loans, some of them are doing that plus this and things like that. And so that's my job, to be better and try and help people get more business. I know a lot of brokers don't feel that way, but I definitely do. So that's why I'm starting to do these kind of things with you guys so I can get to know you a little better. So I can understand, because there are certain people I can go, okay, this person might be good to do this, this, and this. But my goal is to share everything that I do. How do I get my business? Because people say, oh, you don't even, do anything. They probably just call you. And I'm like, yeah, but I still advertise and I do stuff because I like trying things to see what's working in any given market, because there are things. And what's the cost? What's the cost? What's the result? How many loans did I get? Is it worth it? Was it break even? Did it a good profit? Nobody's advertising right now, money wise. No one wants to spend what they don't have the money, right? No one wants to go on credit cards to put things in place because it's just too tough of a market and they need to hold on to every dollar. I'm the opposite. That's when I start investing more. Oh, but I want to say this correctly. I have certain things I do because I trust it. I don't expect other people to do that. I've been doing this too long, 35 years. Right. So there are things that I trust and that I know will get me a couple loans. I'm not talking going to fill my pipeline of 25 deals. There are things that I do just to get me from month to month to month. But everybody's at a different point. So I'm hoping to bring value back to that a little bit. And with this, if someone were to Google you and say, who's the Sheila lady? They're going to say, oh, here's an interview. Like, because these kind of things show up if they were to pull your name up. Google loves to put videos up high, which helps people get to know you. And that, hopefully they'll get to know you a little bit to say, gosh, I want to work with her, because everybody has a following one way or another. Oh, heck yeah. It works all the time. Now, are you by yourself or are you part of a team?
I am by myself.
Okay. 100% by yourself? No friends or anything like that?
I have my processor that I absolutely, she's my lifeline, but it's just me out here doing my thing.
Who's your processor?
Her name is Amy Leonardo, and she's based out of Irvine.
Okay. Right on. So you got a 3-hour time difference.
If anybody needs a processor.
No, it actually works out good. We have our payouts coming out of the West Coast because we get 3 hours more. They start 3 hours later. The funders are out of the East Coast using that time. So it's been interesting learning how to use the time zones to our advantage as well and stuff like that.
I certainly use it to my advantage. I really do.
I like that 3 hour. My processors, Brittany Wilkerson, there she is, Renee, they're all on the West Coast. And I can get here, get a lot done. And then they're still working 3 hours into the night after I'm done. So it's like I get an extra 3 hours into my work day when I time it right.
That's how I feel too. I got the extra 2 hours. We're on Central Time here.
Oh, you're on Central. So I didn't know that. So you're right above me, but Tennessee's really wide.
Yes.
And depending on which way you go, I went to Tennessee. I was in Nashville. I'm like, hey, I'm going to go over and check out Gatlinburg. And I'm like, it must be close. Here I'm in Tennessee. And they're like, yeah, that's like 4 hours or whatever. And I was like, and then I started looking. I'm like, you're right. If from my house, from Georgia, I would have went a different way to go there versus going to Nashville versus going to, I'm not going to say it wrong, Knoxville. Got to put a little south in it. Knoxville. There we go. There we go. I can't even say it. My mouth doesn't even pronounce that word.
We're from Northern California. We get Vacaville.
Yeah, I know.
Placerville. Here, everything's Vol.
Well, go Vols.
Go Vols.
That's exactly what they're doing. Right on. Tell me this. In your area, what do you see the most of? What's it take to get somebody into a house in your area? First-time home buyer or someone trying, I guess first-time home buyer. What's the cost in your area to become a first-time home buyer to find a house that's decent? I'm not talking, where it's all broken down or something like that.
I'd say in my area here out in Gallatin, we are probably anywhere between $400,000 and $600,000.
Oh wow! Okay.
To get in, I mean, obviously you can go out further into the towns that aren't, I guess you would say, aren't getting overpopulated so quickly, and you could still probably get homes in the $250,000-$300,000 range.
Is that coming in a subdivision, or are you getting on a little bit of acreage? Or what's that like?
I know if you want land, you're going to pay for it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we bought 8 acres out in Westmoreland. We got lucky last year, and we found 8 acres, and it was $90,000.
Wow,
that was lucky. Here in Gallatin, 2 acres was $500,000.
Okay. I have some friends that don't live in that area. I don't think they're paying that much. But yeah, I know a lot of when I first broke off from California, I was like, where am I going to go? But I noticed in 20 and 21 that a lot of people were going into certain areas. Tennessee was one of those states, Georgia, Florida, Texas, just even Nevada at that time, but Colorado, Idaho. But so those are the first places we got licensed because we followed the people and then we backfilled them in. But I think that's still the case. How's the insurance in Tennessee? Are you guys being affected by the insurance differences?
I don't feel we're being hit as bad as like Florida and stuff like that. I'm seeing a trend of a lot of people that have moved to Florida that are now moving to Tennessee.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Insurance is
that
interesting down there.
insurance is really a mess there, and they a lot of people are being priced out of homes.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm watching that area to see if there's going to be an opportunity, but if you can't get insurance unless you're going to pay cash for something, which that changes the whole dynamic. But the weather's still going to come through, so we have to figure something out. And I just can't figure out. I mean, Florida's been around forever, but obviously insurance doesn't want that risk.
Right.
So I hope the state figures something out and finds affordable ways to do stuff, because it's a beautiful place. It really is. And who wouldn't want to have something on the ocean or near the ocean? But right now it's just I'm just watching, and
Yeah.
a lot of people are packing up and going. They're like, hey, here's the keys. Have fun with it. Crazy.
Yeah, I can't do this anymore because I have clients right now that are looking in East Tennessee from Florida, and they called me yesterday and we're going to look in Florida too. And I said, please, for everything you love, get with your insurance company first.
Absolutely.
Because that might shock you. So they said they would get back with me.
You know what I did? I actually have a small group I go to on Wednesdays, and there's a guy that's in insurance. I didn't know that, but his company is heavy into Florida as well. And it was fun. I was talking to him, and I'd never thought about this. I'm going to kind of get an interview for this, but he was telling me, all right, this is where we would insure you, and this is where we feel comfortable, and this is why. And he was explaining to me, the homes are built a little different here than they are here. They have roofs. You're looking for these attributes, and you're going to find them more here than you are here. And I said, would you be willing to maybe fly down there with me or take a trip and show me all these things? Because, I was amazed at the knowledge from the insurance side. They know all the areas, the statistics, how the houses are built, how they're not built, the roofs and all that stuff. And I learned a lot that day. And I was like, maybe I should start, like you said, so that what the cost of insurance would be. So many of us will pick a house, and then before you make an offer, get a quote. But it's like, yes. Hey, why don't you get with an insurance agent and say, if I were to buy in Florida, anywhere in these areas, am I insurable? What does it look like? And they will walk you into what would be, they'll tell you what they like and don't like. I mean, they'll tell you straight up, we're not going anywhere near that area. And we'd love to see you in this area. And you think it's going to be a lot more expensive, but some of the areas that are getting beat up, just the land value is huge, even though what's above it is thrashed and they're not going to rebuild it,
right?
Because it's on the water and has a boat dock, stuff like that. So I'm just watching that. There could be some opportunity. There's always opportunity at somebody's hardship. I don't mean that mean, but it's always been that way. And we'll see what happens, but kind of crazy.
I just feel a lot here in Tennessee. I've probably seen maybe $150 increase in my insurance in the last 3.5 years.
That's not bad at all. Me either. Where I'm at in Georgia, we're not really going to get fires. We have pretty regular rain where I'm at.
Yeah, same.
Where we get the tail end, because I'm northeastern Georgia, so I don't get any of the southern stuff that's tied to Florida, the hurricanes. I get the outer end of that, usually just some rain. But boy, was it South Carolina, North Carolina? I'm trying to remember who got hit last year, and it just flooded it. I mean, I'm amazed when water drops down out here, it comes down. We get a lot of rain.
There's definitely a difference between water hitting you in the South and water hitting you in California.
Oh, yes, definitely. The other day, I could have swore we got I felt like 3 inches in like a 4-hour period. I mean, it just comes down. The other thing I like about Georgia, I'm amazed how fast they can get rid of the water. They're really good at capturing it and reusing it, called reuse water. So you water your yards with that if you want, and it's a lot cheaper than the water you drink. California, I was watering with the water I drink, much more expensive. I'm like, gosh, they haven't figured that one out. Big difference. I can water my yard, an acre, for like $55 a month. Sometimes it's 4 hours of watering in the heat of the summer. So it's just crazy. Tell me this. When you're not in loan mode, I think a lot of people like to know these kind of things about people. We know you can do loans, but what separates you from the other loan originators? When you're not in loan mode, what kind of hobbies do you have? What kind of things do you like to do?
Well, we are a big Tennessee Vols family, so we are all sports.
No, I'm kidding. Go
We
Dogs.
are all sports. And I call him my bonus kid. He is an offensive lineman at Campbellsville University. So basically, from August to November, we are football mode. Every weekend, we are gone. We are watching college football at his
Wow.
games. So in camping, canoeing, anything with the water, beaches, that's my thing. But I've always been a sports fan, but I am a Raiders fan.
Oh, I like the Raiders. I've always liked the Raiders. They obviously ended up in Las Vegas. I grew up on the Raiders down in Southern California. I grew up in Southern California, San Bernardino, and the Raiders are the Rams. I enjoyed the Raiders. So
yeah,
back in the day,
I had season tickets to in Oakland to the Raiders for I don't know how long.
Yeah, I was sad when they left. Now they got the
I was really sad. I'm still kind of bitter Betty about it.
Well, did you see they have the Athletics playing in Sacramento right now? I'm like, oh,
yeah, I saw that.
Great for them, but horrible for the franchise. I hope they get that figured out. But
yeah,
I'd like to see that. If you had to give advice to homeowners right now, you got all these people sitting on the sidelines, but you see it every day. You've been doing this a long time. What advice would you give to somebody who just, they've been sitting for 3 years in a lot of cases? What advice would you give to somebody like, and it could be any advice, maybe you tell them keep sitting, but what are you hearing? Like when people in your own situation right now, when you're trying to do business and your realtors maybe work with you, what kind of advice do you give?
Well, what's funny is I actually just did some research because I was out at a networking event with a realtor. And believe it or not, our current rates are a little tiny bit under what average rates are over the last 25, 30 years. So our rates are normal. I think, people were so like enamored with those 3% rates and they don't realize those were unicorn rates. And will they ever come back? I don't know. I always tell people if I had a crystal ball, I wouldn't be selling loans. I'd be sitting on a beach somewhere.
Sure.
No,
they're not coming back.
Yeah, exactly. So I just tell them, look, get in with what you can afford, especially first-time home buyers. Get in with what you can afford. If this is what you can afford, remember, this is your stepping stone house. You're going to get in, you're going to build some equity, and you're going to move on to your next home, maybe your last home, who knows, but
yeah,
get in where you can afford it, and then worry about the rates like later. If they go down, worry about it then. But if not, at least you're still building equity. And these are normal rates. Believe it or not, they're normal rates.
They are. I've never had anybody. We all have had the people who are fearful in the moment, but I've never had anybody come back after 5 or 10 years and go, "You screwed me. You should have talked me out of it." It's like, oh my gosh,
right?
And things do not get cheaper. We have hiccups in the economy, but that's not because things are getting cheaper. It's because there's a correction and then it immediately starts going again. And the odds of you timing that correction exactly, it just doesn't work out that way. So you're either sitting in the market or sitting out of the market. And we learned that the other day in the stock market. It was doing horrible, and then boom, it bounced and corrected itself a little bit. It's still down for the year, but it's. Someone told me the other day. They said, everything's studied, and they're like time in the market, time under investment. That whether it's real estate, if you're going to just sit in the market, sit in real estate. There's just too many things. Someone said you're paying 100% interest if you're renting. So don't beat me up over that. The rate's about 0.5% higher than a lot. Cool. You're renting? Well, you're paying 100% interest right now. And you said something. I have never had anybody start in a little bit of a smaller house It just means you're not going to be there as long. But that stepping stone is a great thing. You need to learn how to become a homeowner too, all the things that come along with it. And sometimes the home that you think you wanted after doing something like that, it opens up another path to go, what I really like or don't like about this house, I'm going to look for in the next house. And you start to become more informed as an owner. And you're out of that first time buyer. You've got the experience of how it works, because that's always an eye opener that you feel like they're just prying your skin off of you to get that first house. But it does get easier and you become more seasoned in what you're doing. Time's an incredible healer of all things. I know that.
And
For
I
sure.
tell my clients, it's kind of funny. I'm like, it's like, your first child, that's your learning child. House is the same way. This is your learning house. You're
Ain't it
going
the
to learn
truth?
what you hate, what you love, and all that good stuff.
Yes, that's actually a good scenario right there. All right, so you've been doing this a while. I get you're only 25 years old,
I
but
know.
I want, if you could give your younger self, the younger Sheila, coming out of high school, even whatever, right in that, knowing what you know today, what kind of expertise or thought process would you tell that younger version of you, knowing what you know?
Um, Definitely would have gotten into it a lot sooner, but probably just work through it. Don't beat yourself up. We all make mistakes. Some of the biggest mistakes I've made in this industry, I've learned from, and I've never made that mistake again.
Me too.
You're going to make mistakes. Just keep moving. Don't be afraid of technology. I'm still telling myself that, just FYI. So don't be afraid of technology. Embrace it. Embrace social media. Get out there and, social sell, because that's where we're at. That's the platform we're at now. We are social sellers, whether loan officers want to admit it or not. I get a lot of my business off of social media. I'm on two big platforms because
Mm-hmm.
I have kind of branded myself as a relocation expert,
Nice.
because I moved out of California, made that big transition out to Tennessee. And so I don't know if you've ever heard, there's two big groups out there. One's Leaving California, one's Life After California.
Yeah, I know what they
And
are.
I'm one of their preferred lenders.
My wife's on those.
Huh?
My wife's on both
Oh
those.
yeah. So that's been great for me. Just being able to really help people and educate myself on relocation loans. That's the thing too. If I'd have told my younger self, learn all that you can learn about this business. You're not going to be an expert at every product out there, but you can definitely be an expert at least on three, for
I
sure.
agree.
There's so many products out there, and it's our job to know a little bit about everything, but for sure be very knowledgeable at least on three.
It's funny. I was going to ask you, like, if I blindfolded you and just dropped you into a new state, how would you get up and running? But you basically just answered that whole entire. You have switched from one state to the next. You
Mm-hmm.
had to start over. What did you do? You joined two big groups. You got on social media, and that's how you've done it. And because you walk the walk, talk the talk, people have questions for you. I did exactly what you're talking about doing. This was the good. This was the bad. Let me tell you, you might not want to take this highway. Take this highway. Don't stop at this hotel on the way over. Let me tell you what, we drove out and we had all of our stuff sent before us. We took about 4 days to do it. I was amazed. There, I get it that some states are overpopulated, but as soon as you get outside of California, there is a lot of empty land.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay, we're not running out of land anytime soon. We just got to bring the amenities to those places. I mean, driving through New Mexico. When you came out, which way did you go? We came through Texas and along kind of the southern part of the United States.
So I was very fortunate, sort of, because I actually do want to make that drive, but my mom and brother made the drive out because my mom moved out here with me.
Okay.
So she lives in White House, which is about 20 minutes northeast, something like that. So her and my brother made the drive. I actually got to fly in.
Oh my goodness.
I know, but I really do want to see I've seen a lot of our country, but I want to make that drive. I've made the drive
I
before
liked it.
in my younger years, but then that's like a little secret about me that It's so funny because a lot of my friends still don't even know about me. But I used to race jet skis professionally. I was ranked 5th in the world for pro women.
Wait, whoa. Back it up a second here. What did you just say?
I used to race stand-up jet skis professionally in my 20s. So I traveled the country doing that.
See, we learn something about people every day. You weren't even going to tell us that. That's awesome.
Well, I had to get out there that I actually have traveled the country.
Okay.
I didn't just want to like be like, oh, I got to fly in.
No, that's awesome. You know, there were certain things that just stuck out. I think we were leaving Texas, and we'd get up earlier every morning, so we're driving into the sunrise every day, right? And I remember the one morning we were driving, it was pitch black, but in the distance we saw this thing like, what is that? And I don't remember where it's at, but I believe it's on as you're heading out of Texas. But this thing's got to be like 150, 200 foot cross that lights up at some church or something, but you could see it forever. But it was just one of the coolest things I've seen. It's one of the biggest crosses I've seen, but it was kind of cool because, you know, you're stressed out, you're leaving California. Yeah. I mean, you're trying to start something new and you're like, God, am I too old to be doing this? What am I thinking? But it's been a good change. It's, you know, life is wherever your family is, and that's the best thing. Or, you know, you're never too old to make changes, I think. And sometimes change is good. So,
and as loan officers, people really need to understand that, because it doesn't even matter. Our industry, change is inevitable. It's always going to be moving and shaking and doing different things. And you have to not be afraid of it and just embrace it and go with it.
I agree with that. Man, professional jet ski. I like it. All right, let's get some good ones. What inspired you to start your loan journey? I mean, you sound like you're going one way at jet skis, and all of a sudden, next thing, we went right into loans, or when did you make that transition? How did that come about?
I actually was a meter reader for our electric company for SMUD in Sacramento.
Okay, I was a meter reader during when my first job out of college was a meter reader for about a year for Edison, Southern California Edison Company.
So
got a couple dog bites right here to prove it.
Yeah, right. So yeah, no, I was actually a meter reader. I worked for SMUD for, oh my gosh, how many years did I work? 13, 14 years.
Wow, quite a while.
And my brother was actually a mortgage broker in Sacramento. And I became really good friends with one of the reps for New Century. And I ended up quitting SMUD, moving to Los Angeles. And I didn't even know anything about the mortgage industry. They stuck me in a cubicle with a phone book to start cold calling brokers. If I didn't know what something was, I stood up, I put the phone on mute, stood up, yelled it out. Someone would yell an answer back to me. And that's how I learned the mortgage language.
Wow. Man, that's been a while.
Yeah. I was truly in a Shark Tank. It was a Shark Tank. That's when wholesale lenders had to be kind of like UWM. We had to be in the office.
No, I agree. My first 10 years in the industry, I only had like 5 lenders total, and 2 of them were Fannie Freddie. The other 3 were subprime in some way. Maybe one of them could do seconds. It wasn't, we didn't have 147 lenders like we do now. Right. It's just, it's like too much to try and figure out, in my opinion. What's a failure that you've gone through that ended up being a blessing in disguise for you?
In the mortgage industry?
Could be anything.
Well, I was going to say lots of relationships.
Damn them.
But it got me where I am today.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's funny because it's like I look at 2008 and I felt like there were signs that, I think for me it was financially not being prepared for it.
Right.
So this go around in the mortgage industry though, like I don't put all my eggs are not in the same basket. I have different investment portfolios, different retirement accounts, and I'm looking at things different. And I'm not saying there's going to be a mortgage crisis. It's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that what happened to me in 2008 just changed my whole outlook on how to handle things financially in the mortgage industry, because if you're in this industry and you're in it for the money and you're out there buying the expensive cars and the boats and this and that, blah, blah, blah. Nope. Been there, done that, learned that lesson.
Right.
Now I'm all about, honestly, preparing for my retirement, hopefully. So
now, I'm glad you said that. Yeah.
That was like, that was a rough time. Like you said, you and I both, we lost everything. And I'm just preparing myself that no matter what happens, that never happens to me again.
No, and I'm glad you said that, because that'd be the one thing I would pass on, even to people now, but the younger loan officers that are so afraid to get in the industry, I think the average loan officer in real estate is like 46, 47. Why is that? Because it's so up and down. And then to find some that will pay you a salary, normally they're going to pay you a very small salary and the rest will be commission based, depending on where you're at. So the salary is designed so that you can't get comfortable. But I learned that, and it changed everything about how I carry debt, what debt I carry, diversified as wide as I can possibly get. Some of it's very boring. Absolute U.S. Treasury is lucky if I get 2 to 3%, but I know it's going to be there. And I know I've got X amount of time covering my bills. I don't carry a lot of personal debt, and it's been better for me. I got so much help after that. I thought I knew everything, but truth is I needed better financial budgeting sense, because you assume that's never going to go down. And it was a great market up until that crash.
Yep.
So, you get lulled in and you just assume that there's always going to be loans. And it's like, no, I went from doing I had 1 month I did 49 loans. I couldn't find a single loan. I was writing contracts for investors and 40 per investor. And back then I was doing it with a typewriter, and you just change a couple of pages, But I'm just like, I learned a lot. A lot of people got out then.
Yeah.
And some of us stayed. Here we are.
Right. Here we are back at it.
But it's made me better of and that's the hard part, Sheila, because people say, in 1 hour, can you take me from where I'm at to where you're at? And I'm like, I don't think you understand. What you're looking at is 34 years of doing this. I can't tell you what tomorrow's obstacle is going to be, because some of these obstacles are new for me too. AI is becoming a reality and it's going to play a role in all of this. But I'm learning every day. I take classes all the time. I'm constantly educating myself. I love taking courses because I want to know. I'm trying to learn how to do it myself so I can compare. If I have somebody do it for me, are they doing it better quality? What do I get if I pay someone to do it versus doing it myself? Is it the same? Because then I can should I just teach somebody how to do it versus paying somebody a high dollar? Just because somebody asks for a lot of money doesn't mean they're very good at what they do. So I want to know, not that I want to do all that stuff myself, but especially there's so much stuff that you can type in, or there's software and things, application that you put a couple things in there and it builds it for you. Right. And ChatGPT, like you put questions, you can build models and it remembers things from the last time you did it. Somebody took the whole, was it Joanna Perry? She took the whole FHA guideline books, the 4002 or whatever they call it, and put it in a PDF format into ChatGPT. And she just types questions in there and it takes her right to the section and she can screenshot and put it in. And I'm like, I never thought about that. There's books I have, you can get them in PDF format and put them in there. And if it's a book that teaches you something, you can then rely back on it. It'll go right to that section. I pulled up quickly to say, oh, you know what? It was by hold on, I'll get it for you. And I can go get it. I don't have to go through the book and look. Anytime I read a book, I try and get it down to what are like 5 or 6 things, my takeaways from there. And I used to have to write them down separate, but now I can put the whole book in and I can go get those, because sometimes I'm constantly reading. I love.
Are you a hard book?
I prefer hard books.
Are you
I'll do audio in my car, but it matters how big the book is. If it's something that I'm going to try and burn through in like a week, if the font's big enough. But some of these books, the font, and guess what? I'm half blind. We're going to go audio.
I understand.
Crazy. Trying to make it through that.
Oh, my nephews
Um,
tease me. They're like, Auntie, you could see the font on your phone from the moon.
oh, my text is bad. Someone asked me, what font is that? And I'm like, how
The
about you just worry
biggest
about,
one.
why don't you worry about yourself? It's like in the morning, I can't see anything. All right. Gosh, you already answered a lot of these questions. I was going to say something weird or unexpected fact about you, but finding out that, let's go back to that. I want to know more about that. How did you get into competitive jet skiing? Where did you grow up to actually get into that?
Sacramento.
Sacramento. Okay.
Sacramento actually had a huge base of jet ski racers.
Okay.
We'd go to Miller Park. We'd go to Campfire West.
Campfire West.
I mean,
okay.
when it flooded, we'd go practice out on the levee.
Okay.
Yeah. So
were these
we were
stand-up ones
there.
or sit-down ones back then?
I raced stand-up.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So I did it for, gosh, I want to say 5 years. In my 20s, I was the California state champion. Like, I think I want to say 3 years. And then I went on the ESPN national tour, the Budweiser tour.
Wow.
And raced there and ended up 5th in the world for pro women. And they have the world finals, still have the world finals, as a matter of fact, in Lake Havasu.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't
So
know.
you'd be the original Red Bull queen, is that what you're saying? Now we have all the Red Bull people, so you would have been the original Red Bull, before
I'd
Red Bull was
one
a
of
thing.
them for sure.
No, I like it. That's awesome.
Oh, it was the best experience of, like, looking back in my life, one of the best experiences I ever did.
I wasn't very good at standing on those, but I remember I was in Lake Havasu, matter of fact, and I was watching these people, like, they could get airborne off something, but they would dive straight down and go under the water and come shooting out. And I'm like a torpedo. I'm like, that is crazy to me watching people do that.
The stunts that they can do now these days. I just happened to be watching the World Finals last year because it popped up on my social media, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like the stunts they do now, even compared to when I was doing it, is crazy.
Right.
It's fun to watch.
You're not going to make a comeback this year, 2025?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh no, I was like, my knees can't take it.
Oh, I bet. I imagine it's got a lot.
Remember, I was a meter reader, so my knees are shot.
I only meter reading, I lasted a year and like 2 months. And that's when I moved to Sacramento and went to work for a mortgage broker and completely changed my life. But the sun was kicking my rear, the weather and stuff. I was not ready to be out in the sun all day long, but I did it. I did it for a year, but it was just I worked there during the summer as I went through college.
You were getting trim though, weren't you?
I walked so many miles, and I didn't have the little counter like I do now. I'm like, God, I wonder how many miles that we used to walk every single day. They used to tell us how many miles it would be, but no, I think they still do it.
13 miles.
Yeah.
Come
back next day, do it again.
Yep. Rain, sun, shine, didn't matter. You're out there huffing it.
I agree.
Dogs, had the craziest experience with dogs.
Yes, there was a couple times I got bit and I was like, okay, I'm going to keep going. They got mad. You should have came in. I'm like, no, because I wouldn't have ever came back. I was terrified.
Right. My worst
crazy.
day in loans is way better than my worst day reading meters.
Absolutely.
Battling dogs.
I think about our journeys, how we get to where we're at. And it's like, there's some chance, there's some destiny built into it, I guess, because I can go back and it's just, I don't know how I got exactly to where I'm at. There were some doors that closed and some doors that opened at the right time that said, oh, you know what? I'm going to need to go this path. It's never been just a straight path that says there's the light at the end of the tunnel. It's just filled with all these crazy things. And I have to think there is a little bit of blessings in the unexpected. Say it that way.
Yeah, for sure. And I always look at it like everything I went through in my life has brought me to where I am today. So I try to live my life with no regrets.
No, I like it. Any loan officers out there that might be watching this going, man, she is the coolest person I've ever heard. What kind of advice do you have for just the average loan officer who's struggling right now? You gave a little bit, you talked about finances and not getting kind of crazy, but from a business standpoint, somebody who's barely holding on right now, this second, thinking about going and being a meter reader.
Don't do it. It's all automated now.
Yeah, they're getting it that way, which is good.
I would say, honestly, just shut out the noise. There's so much negativity about what's going on in our industry. I mean, it's insane, the amount of negativity. At any given moment, you can open up the internet, you can get on the television, and it's just going to be doom and gloom, doom and gloom. But put your head down, stop the noise, shut the noise out, and just get your everyday task and get them done. Do what you got to do. Get out in the community. That was a real struggle for me, especially after COVID, because we were locked down for so long that I really struggled coming back and putting myself back out there, networking and doing all of that stuff. But get out there into your communities. Nobody's going to know who you are if you're not out there telling them who you are and what you do. Period. Community, social media is a community too. Get on all your community Facebook pages. Like, I have a team of people who I love, my friends. They tag me in anything mortgage related in this area. So, just my biggest thing is just shut the noise out. There's so much noise going on in our industry right now.
That's so cool that you just said that you have, your group of friends obviously watching out for you, but it's so easy to tag somebody into something and, keep populating you so that you're over there. Cause that's kind of how we help each other. Like, you don't have to go this alone. There's so many ways to do this, from the communities to leaving California, things like that. You'd be surprised. There's so many people just have simple questions like, I can answer that. I saw something, I think it was leaving California, but returning now, or something like that, or going back. And I was like, there wasn't too many people in that group.
Right.
So I was like,
no,
interesting.
That group is small.
Yeah. I was like, this wasn't what I thought. The weather. I'm like, well, where did you go in Georgia? Cause there, there's a northern Georgia that's nothing like southern Georgia. You don't have to go to Hurricane Alley if that's not what you want. That's by choice. I had somebody, every time they see something about, oh my God, there's going to be a hurricane watch in Georgia. Rich, is your family okay? And I appreciate it, but I'm like, hey, I'm kind of, I'm almost 56 miles northeast of Atlanta. I'm way above that hurricane line, but I appreciate it. But I'm still fearful for the people that are down in it.
Yeah.
I don't like hearing those kind of hardships. I mean, gosh, when those big storms come through, they really.
Oh, we just had a huge one come through here.
You guys did too. Yeah, that's right.
I watched a tornado start to do this over my house. Luckily, it kept on moving and touched down further down, but I was like, okay, that's probably the closest I've ever been. I mean, I've been through a Cat 4 hurricane.
Wow.
I lived in Cabo for 3 years and went through a Cat 4 hurricane down there. So I don't know what's so weird. Crazy weather follows me. I tell people all the time, I should have been a meteorologist.
There you go. Just stay out there on your side of the border so that you don't bring it to Georgia with you.
Right.
We don't need that stuff.
Stay right there in Tennessee.
Right on. Well, Sheila, I appreciate you just taking time out of your day. I appreciate, number one, just getting some one-on-one time with you, but getting a chance. I know I asked you a lot of questions because I want to know more about you. I want people who watch this to know more about you, whether it's someone at Xpert, somebody in your area, because they'll see it too, a realtor that wants to know more about, she's the Sheila lady. That's the jet ski lady. No, I'm kidding. But I love doing this because I never would have known any of this about you unless we just got on this and did a one-on-one. So I first of all, thank you for doing that. Thank you for partnering with us.
I mean, all of the LOs that I've watched you interview, this is it's great for us to meet you too. Because believe it or not, people ask us questions about who's your broker. Who is he? Like, who is he as a person? This
crazy guy. No, I'm kidding. No, I appreciate it. It's I don't want to hide behind a desk. I want to be out there. I enjoy my realtor relationships. I have a lot of borrowers. I enjoy being on the front side of it. I enjoy putting people in the home just like you do. I enjoy saving people money. I mean, my customer is a blue collar worker. That's how I grew up. That was my parents. And to save a couple $100 can be night and day for a family.
Yes.
Especially nowadays. And I know some people have low rates, and it's like, I look at the blended rates because there was a time when I had a great mortgage rate, but yet I had so much personal debt prior to 2008. Like I was carrying debt. I was just living high on the horse.
Yeah.
And I was amazed how much debt it just creeps up on you. And all of a sudden you're like, wow, I'm 50, 60, 70,000 on credit cards plus a car payment. And it just made sense. And that's like all of a sudden I could save $1,000 a month at a decent rate. So many people, I'll never put my debt on my house. And I'm like, well, but you're carrying it anyways. Like you're not
you try to explain to
saving
people,
yourself anything.
You're okay carrying $30,000 in debt, paying 30% interest a month.
Oh my gosh.
But you're scared to put it on a 6.5% rate on your house. Come on. It makes no sense.
Well, if you're making your payments, that's fine.
The numbers in front of people's faces for them to go, oh, because I'm a visual person. A light bulb will go off if I see things visually.
Well, I had so many people that say that, and then I'm like, well, who said you had to go back to a 30-year loan?
Correct.
How about I can get you out of debt even faster, because now with that savings, if you're okay taking that $1,000 savings, maybe we settle at 500. We'll go a 15-year loan. You had 28 years left on your other mortgage. So watch this, and this. I'm not telling you have to go back to 30 years and start over. Like you'll be so far ahead because the interest on the loan side of it as well. There's so many ways. Loans are tools to me. Debt is a tool. Yes. You can use it incorrectly or you can use it correctly. You can buy appreciating assets. You can buy just things that you'll be in debt on. You're like, why did I do that? But we all do it, right? We're all human. I get it. But man, thank you so much. I appreciate you being close to Tennessee. We need to do a Tennessee event because I got some incredible people in Tennessee. We're not doing anything with the Vols, though. We'll have to be far away from that stadium. No,
that's fine. We're like 3 or 4 hours away.
All right. Well, Sheila, I wish you nothing but success in 2025. I want to say thank you for your time. Thank you for your partnership. Can't wait to check back and see how the year's going. I look forward to seeing you on some of our other stuff we're doing, as I think it's starting to, something's changing in the air of some way. But I'm right there with you after all these years. We just take one day at a time, and quality over quantity at this time in my life. And great people like you. I appreciate you just hanging out with me today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate meeting you.
Absolutely. Well, everybody, that's what I'm talking about. That is Sheila Garcia. She's going to get married here pretty soon. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
She is a Tennessee connection. She is a relocation from California. Oh, you got all kinds of things you can talk to her about. I'm going to put her information inside this video down in the body of it. If you got questions for her, if you'd like to talk to her about maybe getting pre-approved as you're going over to another state, she's walk the walk, talk the talk. She could talk to you all day long about what it takes to transplant from one place to the next, valuations from California versus Tennessee, what you get for your money. But that's what this is about. It's about finding those special attributes that separate you from the next person, from the next person, next person. So congratulations on all that you're doing. I'm glad you're in Tennessee. I'm glad you're right up above me. We are fellow transplants, so we have something in common. But Sheila, thanks so much, and I appreciate your time today.
Thanks, Rich.
All right. Take care. Bye.